Hey, how's it going? So, I'm going to do a quick video on how I recover drums. A lot of times I pick up drums at rummage sales or on Marketplace for $75, $100, whatever. Sometimes they're really good drums and they're just covered in years of different types of tape and crud and grime on all the rims and everything. And so I've done a few drums here, and I buy my material. It's a vinyl wrap from SY Fabrics, and you can buy them by the yard. They're 54 by 36, and it takes about a yard and a half, 2 yards to do a full 5-piece standard kit, which would be generally your 22-inch bass, 12, 13, and 16. And if you cut correctly, then you might have enough for the snare drum as well. So I've already done a drum set in this gold material here. And you don't have to get like the flakes. They've got all sorts of different designs, but I like the flake style. And so I'm doing this one for my son. It was a really cheap black pearl snare drum, and his favorite colors are gold and blue. So we're going to do the snare first in the gold, since I don't have much left of that, and I'm going to do a full drum kit in the blue sparkle. And so what I do is obviously is take all the hardware off, and I know there's different ways to clean up the rims and all of the hardware. A lot of times what I'll use is a super fine final finish steel wool, which does seem to work pretty good. But I found if you, I don't know, some people may not like this idea, but I take all of the hardware off and I put them in a nice little deal like this to keep them organized, and soak them for 24 hours in a CLR and water solution in a big tub. I tell you, by the time you come back that morning, everything is super clean, shiny. Just wipe it down, obviously, so it's and rinse it off. And then I put just a little WD-40 in the lugs themselves to help hopefully prevent any rust. So what I did is I went ahead and I just sort of cut this. By the way, this is a 14-inch, and for a 14-inch you need about 40, if I remember correctly, 44 or 45 inches of material. And then I just sort of, you got to come in a little bit, obviously, so when you put the heads on there, it doesn't crimp, which on my first drum set that I did, I'll show you here in a minute, I did a Premier drum set that was really old and beat up, and I didn't cut down far enough, and by the time you tighten up all your lugs, it started to crimp on the vinyl itself. So sometimes this particular one, it didn't cut super clean. So what I use is a little X-Acto knife like this, and you can see I left the black wrap on just in case you ever want to take off what you did, or it starts to wrinkle, or you just want a new look. You can just go ahead and take it off and start over. So I just go ahead and I just take my X-Acto knife, and being that this is a pretty cheap snare drum and drum set, I'm not overly concerned if I put a little marking on the wood itself, which, come to find out, I haven't taken the heads off this. This is another rummage sale find. Again, most of these are Marketplace. I'll show you all the drums that I have here in stock. But I pick them up cheap, and I just like to clean them up. Sometimes I recover, sometimes I just resell them, or sometimes I just salvage parts off of them. So I just get it close to where it is in line with the old black. You can see along. What I did is I just use a little electrical tape to sort of hold it in place, and then I'll go around and try and get it as tightly as I can and smooth out any little wrinkles. And once I have that in place, now I've seen some other videos and people use different things for adhesive, but what I found works the best for me anyway is I use a double-sided tape that is carpet tape, and I just put that on the inside. So I go on the new piece and then get it nice and tight, and of course you want to go over where the original seam was. So if you're taking it off, then just go in sort of the middle of a lug. So then once you have the new material on, and you take your lug, which I got all shined up nicely there, that lug is going to help keep that wrap in place and help cover up the seam. By the time, if you line everything up correctly, your lugs should sort of line up right with your seam. And again, then you really won't see a whole heck of a lot of it. So yeah, so once I get this in place, and I go back around with my X-Acto knife, and sometimes if you have like a little light on the inside of this, instead of going around trying to feel where the holes are, the light will shine through, and then I go ahead and I just poke in. I'm gonna go ahead and try and find one here. I'll find a big one. So I'll go ahead and poke in and sort of make like a slice all the way around there. And this stuff cuts fairly easy, and I just sort of gently go around the whole perimeter. If it's just for the lugs, I really don't worry about cleaning up the excess vinyl material. You can sort of just put your screw right in that way, but if it's a bigger one like this where you're going to have actual throw-offs and such on there, then I clean that all up so everything sets in there correctly. Now this is obviously going to be for your vent hole. And your vent holes, by the way, those can be a little tricky. And so they do make replacement vent holes that you can put in there that screw on underneath behind it. For my money, I just go ahead and take the old one, put it in, and try and spread out the metal back again. Or I'll even take a little bit of, nothing real abrasive, just a little bit of adhesive, glue it on there. I don't know, I've had these drums for years, and I've taken them out and played out in them, and I haven't had any problems with anything coming apart. So once you have that in place, then I'll show you some finished ones here in a minute. Then yeah, you just go ahead and take it, and we're using a blue drum head that I had for my son. And sometimes when you put these on, you want to be gentle at first, and when you're seating it in there, because it's going to be a little bit tight compared to with that extra thickness of the vinyl. So I sort of gently go around when I'm putting the head in to make sure things don't move or get wrinkled at all. But by the time you put all the lugs on, that really helps keep it in place, and that ends up looking really slick. But the finished one, I'll show you the whole drum set here. This was an old Ludwig rocker set from the 80s that someone actually took the original wrap off and had black contact paper on it. So I just took this down to the bare wood. And again, if you, I know this is just on video camera, but you can see that I have the seam is going to be right along there. But again, it's a recover job. It's maybe some people are a little bit more meticulous about it, but I think it looks pretty sharp. And you can get the material pretty cheap. So by the time you get enough material for the full drum kit delivered, it's only like $30 or $40 or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this around and show you the drum set. Yeah, I know. You may not care for that speaker front on there. And that's fine. I thought it was fun. My wife got it for me. I'm into speakers. And so this is one of the drum sets, again, that were done And it ended up working out fairly nicely. As you can see, it cleans well. It doesn't, get marred up or anything. I had another set that I did, but I ended up selling that. That was going to be in the blue, the same material, which is this that I'm going to redo for my son. He wants a sparkly blue one, but this is that the first one I did, which was the Premier. Again, I know this is the 1970s. Interesting though, it has a 13 and a 14-inch tom, and then a 16, and so it was a sort of a fun configuration on that one. And again, a guy pretty much just gave it to me. Original head on that bass drum, by the way, cleaned up. It was all full of tape and residue and marking, but it looks sort of sharp. And then I did this for my daughter. She's big into bluey, and this again was just a cheap gammon drum set. You can see it through there. It's starting to wrinkle because this is actual material, a fabric instead of the vinyl. But for a 3-year-old, what do you need? And so that worked out pretty good. And she picked out her snare drum. She wanted something sparkly and fun, so we got that for her. But anyway, so yeah, my daughter's pulling on the fabric. But it's just sort of fun to recover them and give an old drum set for not a lot of money, a pretty nice look. And so when I get the snare drum done and the whole blue set, what I'm going to redo is this Tama from the 80s. Drum set that is black right now. So we got the bass drum there, and that's your standard 12, 13, 16 drum set, but they're a little deeper shells, so they're sort of more of an 80s depth. A lot of these are only, what are they, 9 inches or so, 8 inches, 9 inches. The old ones are a little bit deeper, so I wanted to sort of redo that and make it fun. But yeah, a quick little video on how I recover these different drum sets. And if you want to see how the blue sparkle turns out, I don't know, hit subscribe and end up showing you on that. But thank you.